Okay, we are live. We're going to wait for just around 5 minutes so that guys can be able to join in, and then we can start. Yeah, just we can wait for like 5 minutes so that guys can join in, and then we can start on the x402 payment protocol system. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So GM everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today's session. Yesterday we went through mini apps, the structure of mini apps, how mini apps essentially look like, especially on Fakasta, MiniPay, and then today we are going to do like a quick overview of the X42 payment protocol system, which was developed by Coinbase, and they are currently in collaboration with Google. So we are going to go through the specifics. I'm going to give you a history of how X42 came to be because it's built upon the HTTP protocol. So it's basically internet-based money payment system. And also, after we go through the short history of how we ended up having the X42 system, we're going to go through exactly why the X42 payment system is essential right now and how exactly it works. So we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into the architecture of the X42 system, and then we can both brainstorm and see some use cases out of the top of our heads on why X42 system is needed. This today's session is just a quick introduction to give you the why behind the X42 payment protocol and why it matters, so that by the time you go down to building it live, at least you have some background information on why X42 per se. So without further ado, let me just share my screen so that I can yeah, present full screen. Yes. So I hope you guys can be able to see my screen. First of all, GM guys, for those who are joining in. So my name is Cindy Kamau. Gosh, we haven't introduced ourselves. Sorry. So yeah, my name is Cindy Kamau. Just a second. Yeah, my name is Cindy Kamau. I'm a DevRel at Cello Africa DAO, and it's so nice to meet you guys. I think Jordan, you can also introduce yourself before we continue very, very quickly.
My name is Jordan Movemba, smart contract developer, and also blockchain DevRel. Yeah. So today we're gonna be learning about X402 before Christmas.
Yeah, so
Take it
okay,
over.
without further ado, yes, let me just share my screen and then we can go down into it. Okay, so here we go. Present full screen. Yes. So X42 payment protocol, the payment protocol for the AI era. So why, before we go into the history of how X42 came to be, right? So the problem that we have right now, that we had right now before the X42 system, right, is we are entering into the machine era, right? So we are encountering agents more and more in our lives, and they are becoming very complex, right? So they can, derive information, they can reason, they can do so many things. But the one biggest challenge agents could not be able to, could not be able to do was they cannot be able to pay for things autonomously. And what do I think by that? So AI agents can do so many things, but the one thing which was its major bottleneck and blocker was that it could not be able to pay for anything without involving human intervention, right? Because previously, all payment systems were designed with the assumption that a human will always be present. Okay, so when we were designing the payment systems like the card systems and all these other things, and even with crypto, right? So we used to assume that in case any transaction is needed, a human needs to be there and needs to be the one doing the intervention between all the payment, procedures that you want to do. Okay, so this was the big problem. So we have very complex AI agents coming up, very intelligent. They can be able to, adjust and absorb a lot of information in milliseconds, right? But the one thing they could not be able to do is pay for things. Okay, so that was the major blocker before the x402 protocol came up. Okay, so to be able to understand how the x402 system came to, we have to go back to its roots just a bit. So it started in 1999. 1999 was when the worldwide www era was coming up. And these creators, they created the HTTP protocol, the hypertext something, I've forgotten, it's the hypertext something protocol, right? So the HTTP protocol. So as they were designing this protocol, they were designing knowing that browsers and servers, since it was the the age of the internet era, so they knew that browsers and servers were going to talk to each other. And so they designed some set of status codes, which I know you've interacted with them in one area or another. Example, status 200, which means, okay, you're good to go, right? Status 404, the page you're looking for is not found. Or the status 500, the server is having an error. Some of these errors, we've been able to see them even when you're like accessing a website or you're doing something and there's some feedback that you're getting, you normally one way or another, especially the error 404. We've seen it in one place or another, right? So how did they get to 402? Before they even got to 402, right? These people, the HTTP creators, they were dreamers. They had seen a vision whereby internet was going to be able to handle money. But the diabolical thing, which you're going to see after we talk about the history, is that they had not imagined it in the way that we are using the 4.2 HTTP 4.2 system right now, right? So they knew someday the internet is going to, use money. At that time, that was when the e-commerce sites were coming up. Example, Amazon, and the vision they had was that someone would pay to access a page for a website. Example, if I want to go right now to cello.org, if I want to access a page, let's say I want to access the docs, I'm going to pay something so that I can be able to access that specific page, or with news website or news sites, you could pay so that you can like read a newspaper, all these things. So that was the vision that they had in terms of digital money. Okay, so they came up with some codes. One of the codes, it's like 401, the status 401. Status 401 means, let's say you need to log in. Then came the status 402, payment required. You need to make a payment to access a certain service. And then the other one was error 403. Error 403 was like you logged in, but you don't have authority to access something in the specific, let's say, website that you want to look for. So now they designed the status codes. Okay, so that was 401. Great, you're logged in. 402. Yeah, you want to access this website. Okay, let's say I've logged into, let's say, cello.org again. I want to read the docs. So it would, get the 402 status code. You know what? You need to pay so that you can be able to access the documentation. Then if I go and I try to read, let's say, internal docs within the cello.org website, it would give a error 403, meaning, yes, you're still logged in, but you don't have authority to be able to access the specific, feature that you want. So that's how the 401, 402, 403 status codes came in. Remember, they started with the normal status codes, like the 200, like the error 44, and like the error 500. So specifically, 401, 402, 403, they were all, they were all discovered, okay, they were all created to cater to the era of internet money. So that's how 402 came in. But then now, if it was proposed in, 1999, and they reserved it specifically for payments, the 402, how comes it's been more than, 20 years before it's being used right now? What happened is the vision they had did not quite go however they wanted it to. For example, they did not expect credit cards. They did not expect the plastic money era, so they did not expect people would actually be using credit cards to pay for things, etc. And they also did not expect the upcoming era of PayPal. Okay, so when you go and read the history of this, it's very interesting. So they did not anticipate that PayPal would come in and become very big, right? And one more thing, they just reserved the status code, okay? They just reserved HTTP 402 payment required, but they did not say specifically its use case, right? So yeah, they did not have a specific use case for it, and the vision that they had for pay for website clicking and everything, that became irrelevant. So for some time period, I think it was around what was it, 209, 208 there, it was actually rendered irrelevant, okay? But then now the Bitcoin system tried coming up, and I actually read something interesting. As the blockchain evolution started coming up, there are actually several projects which tried to, they tried to implement the 402 payment strategy, but they failed. So I've noted them down. So first one was the Bitcoin payment protocol. So the Bitcoin payment protocol, they actually tried to use the 402 system, but they did not, be able to implement it correctly. And also the Lightning Network, right? If I'm correct. So you can go and see a list of so many projects which actually tried to implement the 402 payment system, but it was not working until now. Blockchain became very, advanced. We now started having the layer twos coming up, so it is becoming super fast. It's becoming super cheap. And then the one thing which was very crucial in the x402 system by Coinbase was also the Google, the Google collaboration, which you're going to see in the slides coming in. So as you go and check the history of the HTTP 402 system, you get to see that they had a vision, right? Way back 1999. It's just that the vision, it actually ended up being used, just not in the way that they were expecting it to. But then for it to be used now, that means it had to undergo a very long period of time whereby it was irrelevant. Okay, so that is actually, it has a very interesting history of it. So that's just a short history of how the HTTP 402 system came to be. So yeah, so okay, yeah, great history. So why now, essentially? Um, First of all, stablecoins. The reason why stablecoins are important is stablecoins are not that volatile as compared to native tokens because they're always pegged against the dollar. One stablecoin is equals to $1. So it has much more mainstream usage because at least it's stable. That's what it calls stablecoins, right? The second feature that made x402 system to be very mature right now is the concept of fast blockchains. Like I said, now layer twos came up. We have very minimal fees being implemented, instant settlement on if it is a EVM on the Ethereum layer. So essentially, blockchain is becoming very fast. Okay. And then the most important feature of why the x402 system is mature right now, it's because of the AI agents, which are coming up very quickly. Of course, right now with the AI agents, it's still just a tiny bit early. So, but you can imagine now it's going to get to a point where AI agents are going to be very complex. They're going to be doing very complex things. They're going to be running treasuries. They're going to be even managing DAOs because I've seen research on AI in governance. So they're going to be having so many use cases of AI agents in the upcoming future. Okay. So they're becoming very sophisticated that we can actually give them autonomy. So they're becoming so complex, we don't need to be there at every step of the way so that we can be able to facilitate every action or execution the AI agent needs to do. Actually, if we get ourselves involved between the actions of AI agents, if you think about it objectively, we are going to be the bottleneck because we are slow. We're going to do this. Imagine if, like, let's say if you're trading bot and it needs to do a very quick execute, like a very quick trade or something, and you're asleep. We have so many limitations. We have to sleep. We get tired. We cannot analyze millions of bytes of data in milliseconds. We have so many weaknesses. Okay, so now it is a time whereby AI agents are going to become very complex that they need to have their own autonomy so that they can be very, they can achieve their maximum potential. So when you think about these three factors and also many other factors considered, this is why the x402 system had to be designed. It had to be built right now. And which in a way is a good blessing, because if the HTTP 242 system had a use case back then how would we have been able to design such a payment protocol that is based on the HTTP protocol? Right? So in a way, it is a good blessing that it was rendered irrelevant for all those years, because it now has a very important use case in this era of the machine economy. Okay, so yes, we've said AI agents are becoming very complex. So to be able to understand exactly the pain point the x402 system is solving, especially when we talk about AI agents, I've created just a simple, a flowchart for you guys to be able to see why we need the x402 payment system, right? So before x402, well, how would it happen? Let's say an AI agent needs a service. Let's say it needs an API key. Let's say you've built like a weather agent and it needs an API key for weather forecasts, any service that it wants, right? So essentially what would happen is we as the humans, we now had to manually set up the key and feed it to the agent. So it has to wait for us. Yeah. And how long do we normally get access to the API keys? You need to do you need to create an account, you do email verifications, you do two-factor authentication, the normal flow that we have. Yeah, you set your password, and then very important, you input your credit card. Remember, when we go back to why x402 became a bit irrelevant, is because of the credit card, the plastic money economy, right? So that's how we normally pay for our subscriptions as human beings, okay? So you have to enter your credit card. And of course, we always get into the hole whereby you're told, 1 week free trial or 1 month free trial, but you still need to input your credit card and then you forget to pay for the subscriptions. Already the system is a bit flawed, okay? But you enter your credit card, the details, the billing info, and then after you pay for it, you now get the API key and then you feed it to you configure the configurations you need to do. So you add the key which is needed to your agent configuration so that it can be able to access the features you want. And most importantly, you set the billing. So if it is a tier, if it is a subscription, all these things that you need to set up, you need to manually set them up, okay? And then also monitor usage so that it does not exceed the limits that, let's say, you set it, or the usage that you set it for the API key, right? So finally, after all these steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Imagine for this AI agent having to wait for 8 steps so that it can finally be able to use the API key it needed to get the weather forecasts, right, for the weather agent. Okay, so of course, in terms of time, it could be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, all these things. But then now it's not autonomous. So meaning the agents, however complex, however intelligent they get to be, they will always have to depend on us humans based on this pre-x402 system. Okay, so as you can see, it was not optimal for AI agents themselves. Okay, so now with x402 system, right? So if an AI agent needs a service, back to our weather agent, so it needs the weather forecast API key or something, the thing is it requests the service directly to the forecasting servers. Okay, so it posts like a get request or something. And, the response back to it is like, okay, or to code, I need your payment. Okay, the good thing, I hope you guys see why blockchain is important here, because as you can see, we could still have the 402 payment system, but imagine if it was a credit card system still. That means the AI agent, however complex it is, it's not like it's now going to be physical or something that it goes to look for your credit card and then it, inputs the details and everything else. But with blockchain, that means if it just has access to like a hot wallet or something, it can be able to pay directly to the service that it needs. Okay, so it's going to sign to confirm and authorize, yes, I have authorized this transaction of 0.10 USDC. And then send it back to the server, the weather forecasting server, right? With the header. So this signature will be one of the headers, and then it will send it back, and it'll be like, yes, I've signed, authorized. I want to get the API key, and then verification happens, and then the service is delivered instantly. So we're going to be able to understand this properly. When we do like the deep dive into the architecture, I'm going to break it down step by step, this procedure, so that you can be able to visualize it and see exactly when we say service for two payment required, signed payment, cryptographic signature, who is verifying this signature, and all these things. How is it settling on the blockchain? You'll be able to see this step by step once I show you the architectural diagram, and then we go through it in step by step. But as you can see, there's nowhere here that requires human intervention. So this is now the gold mine of x402 system. And it could not have worked if the AI boom was not right now and the blockchain boom did not come in right now. So it sits in perfectly at the intersect of AI and Web3. And that's why it works perfectly right now. Okay. Sorry. So this is just for guys to visualize. This is just a side-by-side comparison of how it works. As you can see, with the traditional payment, we even have more steps. And everyone knows for low latency, we have to reduce as many steps as possible, because each step introduces a friction point, right? For a service to be able to work perfectly well. So as you can see, we have so many steps here. Like I said, the user needs an API, you need to create an account, you need to verify your email, you need to add your credit card, and then you need to get the API key, you need to set up your billing. Are you going to pay per usage? Are you going to pay per month? And set up some limits if there's some limits to be configured, and then before you can finally access the API, right? So many steps have frictions. Example, what if you you enter your credit card, and then maybe your credit card, your credit card service is not recognized internationally. I don't know how many times we face that, especially with your local or regional banks. And then you try to input your credit card, and then it's not working. And then remember, with most credit cards, they might still even have the 2FA. And let's say you've traveled and the 2FA is SMS. And so now you can't be able to pay for something online because you need to verify, and you did not set up the email verification, and now you're stuck, right? When you can see, we can get so many friction points across this process, and that can delay the execution, like an agent, for example, wanted to do, right? But just a sec, let me take some water. Right. But with the x402 payment flow, it's super fast. So the agent wants an access. Nowhere is involving a human. It requests it directly to the server that it needs the access to. Okay, it sends a request, and then it receives a response. For two status code required. Please pay me 0.002 USDC, or USDC, right? And then your client is like, yeah, okay. The agent is like, yeah, so let me sign this, I'm authorizing this, and then pay. And then it accesses the API. And then now it is settled on the other side of the blockchain, so that the server can be able to get its stablecoins, and then the wallet is balanced out and everything, and it needs to be added to the state of the blockchain. Okay. So there is nowhere a human being is required in the payment flow. Okay. Yes. So first, before we continue, I'm Jordan. In case we have any questions, since I'm not seeing my
Yeah, I actually wanted to notify people that if you have any question, drop them on the chat. We'll share them on the screen. In the meantime, smash that like button, share, retweet, repost, and make sure to hydrate as Cindy is doing.
yeah, hydrate those web apps, guys.
You don't want to get that hydration error on your.
You don't want to get that hydration error. Sorry. So short break, but we're back. So so let's now talk about the x402 architecture. So we're going to take a bit more time here so that I ensure by the time we get to live coding, guys have understood the whole procedure and the whole architecture and the whole payment flow, how it happens. Okay. So we have four important parties here. We have the client, we have the
Cindy,
server.
just a
Yeah.
minute. I wanted to ask because you've talked about subscription on the normal method. So what happens if you add the X402 maybe on a recurring on a recurring subscription and in such case scenarios?
Yeah, I think we can. So I don't. Does it have on a recurring? I think that this one I will talk about it here. Yeah, in the
Okay,
payment schemes because it has some several payment flows on how it is working. Okay, so I think when we get here, I can be able to talk about it.
awesome. Nice to see you joining in, Odera. Awesome.
Okay, so nice to see you, Odera. I'm sorry. Nice for you to join in. In case you've joined in right now, so we're just currently talking about the architecture of the x402 payment protocol system. So, right now we have four parties which are very essential in this whole payment flow, right? We have the client, we have the server, we have the facilitator, and then we have the blockchain aspect of it. So that we can be able to connect this so that we can be able to connect this properly, I always have an analogy to talk about this, right? So I want you to imagine that we've gone to a coffee shop. You're just the normal, we are currently at a coffee shop right now. So you yourself, who has walked in to this coffee shop, you yourself, you're the client, right? So when you walk into this coffee shop, the first point of contact is, let's say, the barista. Okay, hey, welcome to Cindy's coffee shop. How may I help you? Blah, blah, blah. What do you need? So that is the server, the barista who's going to be making your coffee, right? So that is the server. The facilitator is the payment terminal. As I'm going to talk about payment terminal in a few so that you can understand what I'm talking about. And then the blockchain is your bank, right? Just a normal. So remember the four parties. So the client is you, the server is the barista, the facilitator is the payment terminal, which I'll talk about, and then the blockchain is your bank. So what happens? Step one, you walk into the barista and you're like, hey, I want a cappuccino, right? So the barista gets back to you and tells you, you know what, we only pay by card, right? So you're like, okay, let me go look for my card. And, yeah, great. I have my card. Here is my card, right? So this card now is taken to the swipe. You know, the way we have the swipe thingy. Okay. So you're like, okay, here in this shop, we have a policy. You need to pay first for your coffee before we make it for you. Okay. We had people who tell us they're going to pay later and then they run away from the shop. So here we have a very big policy. Before you can get the coffee, you need to pay. So here now at this step 5 is when now the swiping terminal, the card terminal, right? So you've given out your card and then we're like, yay, we're swiping. Great. They have money. We've been able to access, this. So the verification is like, great, we've been able to pay for this. Here's the receipt, right? So once we have the receipt, now the barista goes back to work and is like, okay, great. So here is where it gets interesting. So these things are working async, right? So as the barista is making your coffee, let's say now the payment system is still processing. Okay. Now that we've swiped, we've seen the card has not been declined. This now it's the work of making the payment, generating the receipt. This is now steps from steps 8 to 11. These are 3 steps that happen, right? And then now, after everything is settled in terms of payment wise, we now get the your coffee. Okay. So what I mean by that is let's go step 1. Okay. Back to step 1. So you came and you asked for the barista, you know what? Hey, do you guys have coffee? I want a cappuccino. So that is similar to our AI agent sending like a get request to the service back to our agent. So let's assume it's still our weather forecasting agent, right? So similar to how you will go to you will walk to the shop and then go to the barista and you're like, hey guys, do you make coffee? I need cappuccino, right? So the client now, our weather forecasting agent, will send a GET request. So it's just an API request to the weather forecasting server. And it's like, hey, I need this and this and this. So the server gets back to you. Hey, so yeah, we have coffee, but we only accept card. So the server will send a response back, a 402 response, like, hey, here's the payment that is required for a cappuccino. A single is, let's say, $2. Okay. So now here, step 3, select payment method and create payload. This is just now you, similar to going to your bank, checking, do I have the card, etc, etc. Can I be able to pay? Let me go quickly to my bank account. Do I still have money in there? Will my card get declined? That's the same thing, okay? So the client, once it receives this response, it will go back to its GET request, right? And then it will sign and say, yes, I still want this service. So I'm going to pay the 0.01 USDC, similar to the $2. I'm going to pay the $2 that you need from me, right? So it signs, creates like a signature scheme, authorizing that the payment should continue. So this payment method is now added as a header to the payload, right? So this payload now is sent back to the server, okay? Yes, I've signed, everything is okay. But then now, what if it has signed and it does not have funds? So this is where the facilitator comes in. The facilitator is similar to our payment terminal, because of course you can come and say, here's my card. I have $5 in it. We still need to verify that you've signed correctly. Do you have funds in the account? etc, etc. So that is the work of the facilitator. The facilitator essentially connects the blockchain and connects the server with the client. It's actually facilitates. That's why it's called the facilitator. It facilitates every step of these things. If you want to see like a example, like Coinbase itself, the facilitator, you can find it's just like a server that is hosted in AWS. It has some API endpoints. Example, it can get like an API endpoint to verify. And since it's connected to the base blockchain, for example, it can be able to go back and verify, is this signature scheme correct? Does this account have money? All of these things that are needed for verification, right? So this is the work of the facilitator, just like the card terminal. To first you swipe and then it confirms, hey, do you have money? Will the card decline? All these things, right? So now it verifies and then it sends back the verification to the server. Remember, the server requested the API endpoint from the facilitator. Hey, you please verify this. It sends a response back to the server. Yes, I've verified it. So our weather forecast server is like, yay, so everything is good. So the weather forecast service is going to give the response that it's needed back to the client, if it's data and all these things. So as it's giving out the data that this client needs, the facilitator is now working behind the scenes, right? Because this transaction that it has paid, our client has paid, let's say our AI agent has paid, let's say $0.02 or something by API request, right? So if it's for, let's say, one API request, look, just one request. So this crypto payment, remember it was USDC, right? It still needs to be settled on the blockchain, right? So it's going to submit this transaction to now the blockchain, the USDC contract, right? It's going to submit the USDC contract, say, in the base blockchain, and do settle everything that is needed in terms of the blockchain area, so that if that is settled, it sends back the request, right? So remember, the server, it still has not yet sent the response. So here it is just, let's compare it to like when the barista is now making the coffee. As the barista is now preparing the coffee, the facilitator is ensuring that your balance has been deduced from the bank, it has been added to this bank account, everything that is good. So once everything is settled, it will send a response back to the server, which is the weather forecasting a server, right? And then it will be like, okay, everything is good, it is settled. So now, armed with that information, it will now send the response the client needed. So it's just a variety of responses, You send a request, you get a response back. Send another request, get a response back. Send another request, get a response back. So they just work like that. So just like how the protocol works and all those, was it TCP/IP and all these things, right? So it's just send a request, hey, pay back. Okay, I have signed. I want to pay. Add it to my header. Okay, verify. Has this person signed this? Is this person authority? Does he have the authority to, request this transaction? Yes, it has. Sends it back. Okay, let me start preparing everything. Okay, in the meantime, can you settle this for me in the blockchain? Okay, I'm going to submit this transaction so that you can be able to settle on the blockchain. Yes, the transaction has been settled. Good. Let me send the data, if it's data or something. Let me send it back to our client. So this happens in a very short period of time. So just seconds. So essentially, this is just the architecture of the x402 system at its core, how it works. So it has four participants. So the client, the server, the facilitator, the blockchain, and their work is just to send requests and get responses to each other until everything is settled and it can be able to access the data it needs. That's it. So it mostly, when you think about it, it's just a bunch of APIs that are, calling on to each other. Okay. Yes, please short break as you yeah. So that's the x402 architecture at its core. Again, repeat. So always, if you want to remember, just always remember the coffee analogy. So you're the client, the server is the barista, the facilitator is the card reader that you swipe, right? The blockchain is your bank. So you go to to your barista. I need coffee. Hey, we only pay by card. Okay, here's my card. Okay, let's go take it to the card reader. Okay, swipe. Does it decline? No. Okay, good. Can I start making the coffee? Yes. Okay, in the meantime, by the time the card reader is generating a receipt, it has already verified that everything is okay. And in the meantime, behind the scenes, it's settling your accounts, reducing the $2 from your accounts, increasing to the coffee shop account, etc. Everything is great. Here's the receipt. The barista sees the receipt. Great. Here's your coffee. So that's just how the x402 system works in general. Okay. So payment schemes do we have per se? Like, okay, yeah, we're talking about paying. So how can we exactly pay? How can what sort of payment flows are there exactly? So first, you can have a fixed amount. Okay, let's say you just need $0.10, for example, to just per API request. That is fixed. So if you need two requests, you can pay 0.20. If you need three requests, you can pay 0.30, something like that. Right? So there's just one fixed amount. Actually, this is the one that is working right now, right? So this is what is in production right now, if I recall correctly. So you just have the fixed payment system. So if you just need exactly 0.10, sorry, you just need 0.10. Yes. So there is that right now the photo system is in V1, right? So I saw that V2 is still under development. So we still have other systems which are coming up. Example, we can have a metered amount, just like how, for example, what can I use? Let's say cloud, for example. If I'm paying exactly $20, right? There's that tiered amount. Okay, metered amount. Example, you can be able to, if you exceed, let's say, the $20 based on the usage or etc, you can use the wallet, right? So something, use a wallet, so you can input, let's say, $5, and then it generates for you I don't know how many is it, a million tokens, something like that. And mostly it is with cloud code, for example. So you can pay $5 and then you get a generated amount of tokens based on that. Right? So it's a metered amount. It's not exactly fixed. So it depends on you yourself, how much you're going to pay, right? And then another system that was like proposed is batch settlement. So this is just when we want to aggregate many payments and we send them as one batch payment system. So it can be able to work on multiple systems simultaneously, right? And so custom schemes, these are something that you can, design for yourself. You can see how you can use the x402 system and design your own payment flow. Example, this is just something I'm working on whereby agents, they can execute things and they leave like attestation proofs and everything. And these attestation proofs improve their credibility and things like those. So essentially, you can be able to at least play around with the x402 system and see what sort of payment flow you can be able to integrate and how you can be able to work around with it, right? So, so we can okay, we can check and see with some use cases that x402 system can come in. Example, let's say a research agent. So, like I said, example, the weather agent, right? So the weather agent needs the access to the latest forecast, to the latest forecast updates. It just requests the server and then it gets the money. It gets the data back and then it is able to, let's say, present to you. If, let's say, you're a farmer and you want to get weather updates for the next 6 months or something, so you create an agent that will always ping you and tell you, hey, based on my research forecast on the current trends and how the weather will look like, it looks like it's going to rain. So please plant maize or plant whatever, right? So that's a use case of how you can be able to use the x402 system. So you yourself, you're just using the weather agent. There's nowhere you you don't need to necessarily set up the payment flow system so that you can be able to access the weather service, right? So example, like a research agent, let's say what? Like example, let's say a company like Mesari, right? Because they are a research, crypto research team or something. So if they want to get the latest updates or even data analysts in the blockchain, things like those, any use case, right? So example, if this agent needs some stock market data so that it can be able to analyze and see if it wants to make a trade, it's going to pay per API call and everything. And then it actually only pays for the data it uses. So instead of having to pay for, let's say, a certain amount or a certain subscription and you're not using all of those API calls, some of them, it's like you're losing money. But in this case scenario, using the x402 system, every API call, you pay the exact amount. So the agent only pays for what it needs. If it does not need this real-time data right now, it does not pay for it. It saves the money, right? So there's no subscription, no time when, let's say, you don't have money in the card and so your subscription fails and so you have to go back and input the card details again and then it starts afresh. No friction points like those. So if it needs something, it pays for it, right? Sorry. So this is actually very interesting because the x402 system could not have gone a bit more mainstream if it were not for the collaboration with Google. So Google at this time, they had built the agent to agent protocol, right? Sorry. Google, they had built the agent agent protocol at this time, right? But then now, once Coinbase decided to introduce and build the x402 payment protocol system using crypto, right? So they decided, you know what, we are actually going to work together as, as a collaboration, because you guys, you've built the agent to agent protocol system. We are coming with the payment flows that are going to help these agents. So agents can, talk to each other, they pay each other whatever they need. Let's say I come to, let's say I'm building like I don't know, shopping agent, and then the shopping agent talks to the recommendation agent to like give it recommendations or give it data, what shops are around this region of Nairobi, so many things, right? So agents can be able to communicate with each other, and then the x402 system comes in with the payments. So in case payments are needed, they can be able to settle it. That's why this is a marriage from heaven. Marriage, is it marriage from heaven or marriage in heaven? Marriage in heaven, right?
Marriage in blockchain.
Marriage in blockchain. right? So that's why they partnered together, and together at least it becomes a very holistic platform system. So as I finish, why? Okay, so yeah, we've talked about so many things. We've talked about the history. We've talked about how the status codes came to be, how 402 came to be, why it is booming right now, the architecture. We've talked about so many things, right? So, okay, why does it matter essentially? It's because right now, whether we like it or not, we are entering the machine era, the AI economy. It's called what? The autonomous economy, autonomous intelligence economy, something like that. So right now we are the ones who, pay normally for APIs and etc. But it will get to a point whereby agents will be doing so many things for us, and they're going to pay other agents. And there is no way we're going to come in as an intermediary. Okay. So this is why this protocol is important, because it is able to ensure that this agent to agent economy that is coming up very quickly, it's going to be very smooth. If agents need services of each other, the payments for these services will be super smooth, and we don't need to come in, especially on the payment side. Not that we're going to be automatically, out of the picture, but in terms of now ensuring that per every service this agent needs, we don't need to be there as the bottleneck so that we can pay for this specific service. So that's why this x402 system is super important, because right now, with the AI era coming up, so it will get to a point, that's what I'm seeing on my end. It will get to a point whereby the agents, as they continue booming up, they're going to be very complex. They're going to be doing so many things. And so, yeah, at least we now have a payment protocol that they can use very easily, that we don't have to use credit card systems anymore. The good thing is it's actually on blockchain, so at least they have the autonomy. Whether it is for good or bad, we don't know. We're going to see when we get there, but in the meantime, yeah, x402 for you. So, in summary, we talked about the HTTP 4.2 system, how it came to be, for guys who didn't show up earlier. So we started with why this thing matters. Why? Let me just start from the very beginning very quickly. Yeah, so we started about the problem. Yeah, AI agents are becoming very complex, but the one thing they could not be able to do was make payments on their own, right? A very big blocker. And then we talked about the brief history of the HTTP 4.2 status code, how it came to be. But this was visualized. It was actually envisioned in the era of 1999, when the HTTP creators, and in the era of www, that's when they decided and that browsers and servers are going to need to talk to each other. And they made some status codes. Example, the status 200, the status 404, the status 500, and then the 400, the 402, the 401, 402, 403 status codes was actually meant for money. So these guys had envisioned a future whereby internet would be able to handle money, but not in the exact way that we have right now. So they did the example for 401. 401 means you're logged in, and then once you're logged in, 402 requests for payment. And then if you're trying to access a service you don't have access to, it will result to an error. 403, you're logged in, but you don't have access to this. So that's how the 402 status code was actually came to be. But it was reserved because these guys had a vision that, e-commerce is coming, websites are going to be big, websites are going to be dealing with money, you're going to be paying for if you want to access an article, you're going to be pay per page. So many things. They had envisioned a future for digital money, but not the one that we have right now. So that's why it was rendered irrelevant for so many years, I think around 20 years before right now, right? And then, yeah, so why now? Because we now have stable coins, and then we also have blockchains are becoming super fast to the layer twos, and then we also now have the agents. And as I said, these are the steps that we needed. An AI agent would have done pre X4.2. You need to wait for a human being to do the normal things, create an account, input your credit card, pick a subscription package or anything. If you need to set limits, etc. before it can actually access the API key, right? Very inefficient system. But then with x402, it just directly contacts the server that it needs. So it just sends a request, hey, I need this data. And it sends a response, 02, I need 0.05 USDC. Okay, let me authorize. And it signs, and then it sends the request that it sent here with a header that has the signature. The facilitator verifies this signature is correct, the money is there in the wallet address and all these things. And then after that verification settlement, it gets the service that it needed. So now we have human intervention. It's 100% automated. And then, so this is just the comparison, the process when, with traditional payment and the x402 payment flow, right? And then, like I said, with the architecture, it's just a bunch of requests and responses, right? So with the back to our coffee shop, always remember the client is you, the server is the barista, the facilitator is the card reader that processes the payment. The blockchain is your bank, right? So you request for coffee, they tell you, okay, pay by card. Here is my card. Okay, send the card to the card machine. Card machine, it is working. Okay, let me start making coffee. Okay, the card machine ensures, it balances everything out, prints a receipt. Once it prints a receipt, the barista is like, okay, here's your coffee and your receipt, right? So just a bunch of requests and responses. And then, yeah, like I said, right now we have the fixed amount payment. So you can pay for, let's say if it's 0.001 per API call or something like that. But then other systems are coming up as well, where you can have like the tiered amount, or you can have like the batch payment systems if you need to process many payments at once. And then you can also like create your custom scale. And then this is just a use case like the weather agent that we had talked about. And then, very important, they Google x402 collaboration. So they've always partnered with Google because Google built the agent-to-agent protocol, and then x402 is the official payment for this A2A protocol, right? So the agents can, pay other agents if an agent needs to hire another agent, all those shenanigans, right? So it's a marriage in blockchain, like Jordan has said. And yeah, this is just it's in a very ripe economy, so that because we're in the machine era right now. And yeah, so agents, at least they now have a automated system for them to be able to pay for services from other agents as well. So the machine economy is growing. Okay. Yes. Jordan, can you take just 2 minutes so that I can take some water? I'm so thirsty, man.
Hydrate. Can this cool concept? So we have a question here from Odera. Okay. Sorry if I butcher your name, but I'm not the butcher. Okay. So the question is, can this cool concept be applicable to other spheres of software solutions that aren't just payment? Sure.
It's a payment protocol.
Yeah. It has to do with payment. It has to do with anything payment. I think you can have it on maybe your software as a service where you have subscriptions. So if someone is subscribing for premium services, all those aspects, yeah. And yes, you can DM us on Twitter and also on Twitter. yes, you can. I don't know where you DM'd me. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, so there is a lot of in other aspects you can also do. I think now we are almost there to where you can be able to trade is it GTC or roadmap Fury Road or something on the super highway, where you can if you're driving a Tesla and you want to tip your driver, the other driver, so that they can be able to give you way. I think now you can be able to do that. Your agent can be able to communicate with the other car's agent, and yeah, it's autonomous payment. Yeah. I think there are some of like the future of x402. It's really big. The ecosystem is growing. There will be standardized protocols. There will also be like AI integration, where AI technology will be able to evolve, and I think x402 will be able to facilitate these autonomous transactions, from driving efficiency and innovation within the payment premium services. For standardized protocol, this will be able to like simplify transaction and foster trust among users. There was a question earlier, I think earlier this year, when we had the AI agent series, where we had the AI series, and one of the question was how, because when it comes to AI agent, if you're giving them control of your wallet address, then you have some questions. Will it go on a spree, paying for everything? And I think that is something which or data is kind of saying it's dicey. But I think with
Yeah.
the transaction will now be really easy and trustful. There is also something. It's a new concept on 8,000 and
804.
804,
804.
which is really,
Yeah.
804, which is also really interesting on being able to know which AI agent to trust, and how do you verify that this AI agent is a legit AI agent. So we have a lot of development and protocols that are coming up to be able to make sure that the AI era and the agentic era is not really, it's not compromised when it comes to handling transaction and being custodians of funds. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
actually, Jordan, yeah, so guys also can go through the ERC, the Ethereum request for comments, the ERC 804. It's a protocol for enabling the agents to be able to recognize each other. So what I'm seeing is, of course, I'm not shilling anything. But I do believe that I think we're going, someone who comes up with a very good use case for, let's say, the ERC 804 system coupled with the x402 system. Who knows? It will probably be the next unicorn. It will be probably not my words though, but I do believe it will probably be the next unicorn or something. So yes, guys. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. In case you still have any more questions, please. I can see someone said our what our DMs are locked or something. So
I think he's
yeah.
saying mine, which on Twitter, or how is it locked? It's open.
Yeah, so let's just share them again. So on Twitter at Type Jordan, in case you have any questions about anything, in case you would like us to see the interesting things you come up with in x402 payment protocol system, it would be nice so that we can be able to follow through and see what interesting concepts guys come up with. This is also our Twitter channel at Sell of Africa DAO. Don't forget to follow, hit, like, and no, that's for YouTube. For Twitter, don't forget to follow our Twitter channel. Our YouTube channel is at Sell Africa DAO as well. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, follow. Jordan, how do we say? Don't forget to follow,
subscribe,
I can't
subscribe.
be a YouTuber. Subscribe, hit the repost. No, hit the hit the
Hit
like
the
button.
like
Yes,
button, or smash
hit
the
the
like
like
button.
button there, my guys. Smash the like button, my guys. And so this is our Twitter. And also, this is my Twitter at Cindy Kamau. So, in case you have any more questions and you have some use cases that we can be able to help you through at Cello, it would be nice so that we can be able to provide to you support. We can enter into the proof of ship program, into our own incubator program. Right now, we are really following through with guys who are using, are building AI enterprise based applications and even AI agents on Cello. So yeah, don't forget to reach out to us as well, so that we can be able to, in case you have any blockers or you have a question with the x402 system, you can also tell us as well. And what else? Yes. So Jordan, are we meeting tomorrow?
Yes, we can meet on Friday.
Okay,
We can
so
meet on Friday.
yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
need a small break tomorrow, so we can meet up on Friday. Just for guys in Kenya, please, we have a code jam this Saturday from 10 to 4 p.m. at Web3 Clubs. So you can also show up, meet this lovely team in person, and we will be basically coding the whole day. So yeah, please show up. And in case you have any really nice projects that we might not be in our radar, you can come and showcase to that point. We're going to provide an audience for you. If you need a rapid feedback loop from your peers, you can show up at the Kojam in Web3 Clubs, and then you can share your project, and then we can give you feedback in terms of product implementation, product market fit, and also anything else, really. Yes.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
if you're in Nigeria, I think there is a code jam on Saturday. But it depends on which part of Nigeria you are in. So if you're in Lagos, there will probably be a code jam. If you're in Uganda, there is a code jam happening in Uganda, and Lagos, excellent. Yeah, but if there is no code jam, we will drop a link, a Google Meet link, where we can be able to join in and see as we present. Also, if you have a project, if you're building on Cello, and if you want to share, sharing with the community is a way to be able to build. I can see Osborne is here. Can also see Zero X Chege, really amazing builders in the call. So if you have, you can come present, like we shared on yesterday. One of the best way to be able to build is to build a mini app. It has raw entry level, where you can be able to share with users before you even think of scaling your product. You can just do the testing on Farcaster, since it's free, and then you can be able now to build. Maybe if you're building for specific devices, then you can be able to do that. So that is one of the ways. Also, if we have proof of ship 10, thank you for that, Odera. We have proof of ship 10, which is really amazing, a good way to be able to build your product, ship your product, and also get feedback from us. Yeah. So we'll share more. I don't know which group you are in, Odera, but if you are on Telegram, on the Cello Africa DAO, or in the build with Cello or proof of ship group, or any group on Cello, you can just uh, get us through Telegram. You will find Cindy. It's the same usernames. Yeah, Cindy and at type Jordan. Or yeah, it's the same username. So make sure to ping us and let us know what you're building, and then we give you more on that. Also, for proof of ship builders, you need to be on Kamagap. You need to have a profile on Kamagap. just have your profile there at on Kamagap for proof of ship. Yeah, we have a lot in store. I think on Saturday that's when we be having our the official kickoff of the hacker DAO. We have a hackathon, which will be one of the ways to end the year in a bang, like last year the way we did it. Yeah. So this year
Yeah.
we are ending it with another bang.
Yeah, we're coming
Yeah.
up with very good bangers. So please keep, we'll keep you guys posted in case of anything. Don't forget to reach out to us. And also, we'll be curating more content around this. We're coming up with very fire based content. So just keep on following through with it. And yeah, we just hope to finish the bang with the year with you guys. And in case you have any projects and you have any blockers in migrating to Celo, please hit us up and we will provide to you the technical guidance that you need. Yeah. Don't forget to apply for proof of ship. And don't forget to get the builder rewards, please. If you if you don't want to miss the builder rewards, guys.
You don't want that. You don't want to miss that. Yeah. So apart from that, I think there is also Presenti. There is also Presenti. There is also Presenti grants. There is Presenti. There is Celo Builder, the reward, the Celo Builder, and then there is a lot of ways that you can be able to like kickstart your projects from proof of ship to growth to scaling. Yeah, that's why this workshop is all about from code to community and being able to like create to bring global value locally here in Africa and in other countries. Yeah, so awesome. That's it from me. I don't know whether you have more.
No, as always learn, stay safe, and yeah. I've forgotten the end statement I had. I've forgotten the end statement I wanted to say.
I think you wanted to have what do we call it? It's a closing phrase or something.
I wanted to have a finish off on a high. What an anticlimax! Eh? Stay safe, guys. Please continue building on Zello, and we will meet you guys on Friday. So same time, same place. We're going to share the YouTube link. You will find us live on Twitter at the same time, 6 p.m. So Friday, don't go out. We are going to learn, and yeah.
Don't go out.
Don't go out on Friday, please. And yeah, make the paper, guys. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we are ending the live stream. Goodbye, guys.